an instructional designer and training specialist here at Element. She has probably worked with many of you delivering your training needs during and after your go lives. So over to you, Katie.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thanks so much for joining me today. I am excited to show you a really excellent tool that we have from NetDocuments called Tasks. So let's take a look at our agenda for our webinar today. We're going to begin by just talking about what the task tool is and how you can utilize it. Then I'll introduce you to some key concepts, including our tasks board and our task cards. I'll show you how to refer to specific documents in NetDocuments within a task. And we'll kind of utilize different tools that we can to sort through our tasks and to stay organized, including our My Tasks page and the power of filters, which we'll see how those kind of can benefit us once we move into the program. Let's go ahead and go into our NetDocs web interface. So here we are in a workspace, our Bluehound Busline Company Formation workspace. Now, there are a few different ways that we can get to our tasks in NetDocuments. The first of which is to just use the Tasks tab in the actual workspace itself. So our tasks list and our task boards are going to be tied to a workspace specifically. So these are the tools and the activities that need to be completed for this particular matter. So I'll go ahead and hit the Tasks tab up at the top to head into this tool. And once you head into the Tasks tool, you'll see this Kanban style layout of a particular task board. So this board is our company formation board. We're brought here by default just because this was the last board that I was using. So I'll see beneath, I have all of these different columns that are kind of dividing up and creating sections for my various different tasks. And then each individual task is assigned to its own little card. I can break down this complex project into these smaller granular items that we can then assign out to individuals. It helps us to track their progress and things like that. So the base level of our organization, as I said, is this task board. So here we are on our company formation board. And then beneath that, we have different lists to stay organized. You can move items easily back and forth between lists or even up and down within our lists. So for example, let's say this is here under needs review. And we're working on it and we decide that it's finished. I can just click and drag to drop this task card into my done column and move it around. Maybe I want to bring attention to a certain task, and so I want it to be at the top of my list. I can click and drag within a task list to organize those items just within this particular column heading that I'm looking at. Our color coding options make it easy to see at a glance the status of a project and to keep things organized. So these are customizable. I can choose to say, you know, maybe pink belongs to a certain group of people. And so when they come in here, they know that pinks are their tasks, or you know, browns are things that can only be attended to by senior counsel or something like that. You know, the idea here is that it is very customizable. And so you can kind of do whatever works for your organization. So in our example task board today, we are looking at this company formation. And I can see that I have this particular task. It says review plan. I can click into it to get additional information on it. So if I click on review plan, I get a dialog box that pops up here. And this is going to contain a lot of really valuable information about the task that either I'm asking someone to complete or that I am going to complete myself. So I can see here up at the top the name of the task, and then I've got this description here. It says, Ann Elliott, please review the attached documents and let me know if you have any changes. One of the things that I really like about tasks is that you can @mention someone like this, and it's going to send them an email notification to let them know that they have been @mentioned in a specific task. So If they're over in Outlook and then I come in here and I write something like, let's say I can come into this, I'll just do at, and then I'll begin typing, I'll at mention Jeff. And I'll say, please draft the project agenda and change formatting. So as soon as I hit save, he gets that email adding him to that notification to let him know that something's going on here that he needs to pay attention to. And that information is, of course, maintained here in the description, so that even within this task, we can say, all right, let's kind of divide this up amongst the people that are responsible for it. What we have beneath that is maybe my favorite part, to be honest, is this little checklist area. This is essentially our sub items. So we can get even more granular within our tasks to look at our individual action items, essentially. I can see that to review this plan, I'm going to have to draft the project agenda. I'm going to have to make required changes and adjust my formatting. And it looks like some of these tasks have already been completed. So send meeting notes to key client resources, taken care of. And so this is really nice as well, because you can come in and say, you know, let's say that Jeff got my notification, please draft the project agenda and change formatting. Great. So he can come in and say, I adjusted that document formatting. That checklist item is now complete. You know, and I drafted the project agenda. So that checklist item is complete. And so now, as anyone working on the project, a manager or a member of the team, I can come in here and see how things are going. So, pardon me. One thing that's really great is that there's a lot of communication that's happening just right here in NetDocuments. So, you know, I'm guilty of it as much as anybody else, you know, just shooting someone a message in Teams or sending them an email like, hey, did you talk to so-and-so? Or did you get a chance to look at this? Did you make those changes? And then there's a lot of kind of just little pieces of conversation happening all over the place. Another thing that could happen if you were, you know, communicating about these tasks in Outlook or through some other means of communication is that, you know, maybe you forget to CC someone and you've emailed the whole team, you know, but you forgot Joe over in marketing and now Joe's out of the loop. Instead, we have this all kind of held in NetDocuments, held in this task board, so that anyone who has access to this task board can come in and see, great, you know, it looks like Jeff is on top of it. He went in here and he did all of this stuff, and we can just keep moving along with our project. So that is one piece of it that I particularly like, is that I know that my colleagues can always come in and see what's going on, and I don't have to worry about, did I forget to CC somebody on an email? On the right-hand pane, we have additional options, including, of course, our due date, setting that ever important deadline. It is a nice little calendar functionality, so you can come in here and choose the date that you want to have that be completed. The estimate is a time estimate. You know, I said this, I think this should take maybe 2 hours. So I put a 2 here in my estimate field. And of course, I said you could color code if you want to. And then this is a very important area. Who is this assigned to? So I can come in here and I can actually select individual users and say, you know, this is your task. This is your responsibility. And so I have in this particular task, Anne Elliott, which makes sense because I'm talking to her and I'm referring to her here in my description. I went in and I actually created the task, so I'm assigned here as well. And then it looks like we have one other person. And, you know, it actually looks like I maybe made a little mistake here. Jeff is supposed to be assigned to this, but he's not. So I'll just come and click in assigned and add him very quickly and easily. Now this is going to appear on Jeff's task board. So this is where you would go in and actually determine whose responsibility is this task. Now, this area on the bottom is our tags section, and this is a very powerful section. It allows us to create these tags to apply to individual tasks, and it allows us to filter and sort and to, again, see really quickly and easily with that color coding the status of certain items. So I have, for example, here a tag for to file, and then I have another tag that has marked this as high importance. You know, this is something that we really want to make sure gets taken care of quickly. Now, these tags are completely customizable, so you can do whatever works for your organization, for your team. I can come into this tags kind of drop down area, and if I click on it, it shows me my existing tags. So anything else that has been created in this project board is going to show up here. I can also click on manage tags down here at the bottom. And this is what allows me to add a new tag. So I can come in here and see my existing ones and edit them if I want to, or if I wanted to add a new one, I just click my little orange button. And then it assigns it a color and a name. So I would come in and say, maybe I want this to be yellow. I already have a yellow. Let's say green. And I could assign this and say opposing counsel. Maybe this task relates somehow to sending documents or receiving documents from opposing counsel. Again, totally customizable. So whatever you need to tag this task as, lots of T's in today, I'll go ahead and click save. And then I could add that tag if I wanted to. And now I'm getting even more information by utilizing those tags. Now, that's not all we have here in our task section. We've only really looked at our details tab so far, which is giving me information about the task itself. There are two other tabs in this dialog box. One is our documents tab. So this allows me to reference workspace documents here inside of this particular task. So, let's say I'm coming in here and I'm asking Anne to review these files, there need to be actual files there, right? And these just reference existing NetDocuments files. So this is inside of a workspace. I'm inside of my Bluehound Busline workspace. So I can say add workspace documents. And then I would just choose the appropriate folder and select the document that I needed. I'll hit select to add that in. And I've gotten the question before, does this create a copy of the document in the task? And I want to assure you that you're not creating extra copies, you're not creating extra versions. It's just a link. It's just a reference to get everybody there faster. So don't worry about, oh no, I've made extra copies, because that's not what's happening here. It's smoother, it's cleaner than that. The next tab up at the top is our comments tab. This allows us to have conversation and discussion around this task, again, inside of NetDocuments. So instead of shooting someone a message on Teams and hoping that through the grapevine, people hear about, what needs to be done with this particular task, you can come into this comments section and it says, this is moving along slowly. Please reach out with any questions that might be holding you up. And somebody could come in and say, I'm actually a little confused about, whatever it was. Can we jump on a call? Now, this is really nice because here I'm having this conversation between myself, which is kind of funny. This is my real account and this is my demo account. But say Jeff Kaplan or Ann Elliott is also a part of this task and they want to know what's going on. They can come in here and when they're looking at this particular task, jump over to the comments and it sees like, oh yeah, maybe things are kind of going slowly. Like what's going on? What's the holdup? Oh, okay, it looks like Ella's a little confused. I actually have some time to go help her. I have some time to answer some of her questions. Being able to just have that visibility here, I think is really, really powerful. Let's see here. All right. So that's our kind of, basic task card layout. Down at the bottom, if I've made any changes, I can click save to save those changes. Now, if I get to a point where all of my little checklist items are complete, Elle and Ann kind of got on their game and they got things taken care of, I can hit this little complete button down here at the bottom to mark this as a completed item. It gets that nice little green check mark there to indicate, yes, this is finished. And it actually turns green as well. So the goal is, of course, at the end of this little project or at the end of the company formation, we have a whole board full of green for our completed tasks. You can switch between various different boards to see different items related to this particular workspace. So I keep talking about a task board. This is our company formation board. If I hit the little ellipsis button here, it gives me additional options, including the ability to create a new board or to switch to a different board. So I could come over, for example, and this is just kind of an unrelated one for this demonstration, but we have a task board for onboarding new associates. So we can come over here and see there are different tasks now. This is a completely different project, a completely different board. For my new associates, I have to get them oriented and send them their benefits information. We have to set up direct deposit, but thankfully it looks like we already shipped their laptop out. So this is a good way to jump between your various different boards, is clicking this switch task board and jumping back and forth. Now, there is an entirely other view that we can utilize here. We have this beautiful, colorful Kanban layout. However, especially if we start to get into really long, really complex projects, maybe we just want to see a list of our tasks. So there is a button here. It looks like the same list view button that we're used to in NetDocuments. And if I click on that list view button, it brings me to a list of my tasks. And it's giving it to me in this kind of banded rows format that we're used to for other NetDocuments areas when we're seeing lists. So up at the top, I have my column headings, and I can click to sort by column headings. So for example, if I wanted to sort by due date, and say, what is the most relevant stuff? I can put my due dates up at the top, and it looks like this one was due yesterday and it is not finished. So what's going on? Let's go in and let's take a look at it. I can come in here. It doesn't look like these things have been completed. What's going on in the comments or in the documents, and see kind of what's going on. It looks like this was assigned to my demo account and she was not on top of it. So I can come in and say, do we need to assign it to somebody else? Do we need to, or, it's here under blocking. So what's the blocker? Let me reach out and figure it out. You can also obviously, of course, see what's coming up for you. What do you have to prioritize, because that deadline is going to be sooner rather than later. I could see who else is assigned to each individual task. So we've got these nice little kind of square icons to indicate users and who they're assigned to. So that can be really helpful as well. On the right-hand side of my list view, I do have these various different kind of icons that indicate different things. So for example, this icon is showing me those checklist items. There are 4 checklist items. This one is going to show me my comments. So it's indicating that some people have been in there and talked, we're talking about stuff. And then this is showing me that there are 3 documents attached. So, maybe I sign in the morning, I'm looking at my tasks here, and I see that there is a task that should have been done yesterday and that has, 10 comments over here. Maybe something is going on and I need to investigate. And I can come and click in here and it brings me straight to the comments section. So that's another kind of nice beneficial tool. I can come in and click, what are my checklist items? And it brings me to my checklist view. We also have our My Tasks section. So far we've been looking at this on the level of task boards. This is our task board for company formation. However, I might have and would probably, have tasks spread across a number of different workspaces. So, how do I just everything that I have to do? I'm going to go ahead and click on the My Tasks tab up at the top. So this is showing me a more personalized view, a more personalized list view of just my own tasks. So this is anything that I have created or anything that has been assigned to me. So I'm seeing these items here that, I created. It's, I'm starting up a new task board over here for onboarding new associates. So I'm seeing some stuff there. There's also stuff that has been created by other individuals and assigned by me. So I'm seeing all of that kind of laid out for me. Now, my favorite tool, my absolute favorite tool, is our filter option. So this is going to be available here on this screen. It is also available on your tasks board screen. Just look for this little filter icon. And this allows me to come in and see, you know, what task board has it been assigned to, who it was assigned to. I could filter down by date or by tag. So I mentioned that those tags that we can apply to our various different tasks can be really powerful. This is one of the ways that we can utilize them, is by coming in, hitting tag and saying, okay, you know, what do I have to do with opposing counsel, right? That's high priority. I'll go ahead and I'll filter and hit apply. And now I know that there's these 2 tasks that are not complete, that are high priority, and that involve me communicating with opposing counsel. I can clear these filters and look at, for example, assigned to. This is another really powerful one. I can come in and say, you know, what's everything that's been assigned to Katie, right? Or I'll click apply. Looks like Katie only knocked out one of her assigned, you know, tasks. What's going on with these other 3? Or, you know, similarly, maybe there's a team of folks and we want to see what that team has been accomplishing. I could select the people that are on that team and hit apply. And there's all sorts of, you know, functionality for this. Like, let's say that I was out one day, like I took a sick day, right? And people need to know, well, are there any deadlines that we need to kind of cover for her? You know, let's go in and look at her tasks. Okay, you know, it looks like things aren't due until next week. We'll probably be solid. So these filters can be really powerful. Another thing that you can do is say, you know, come and sort by estimated time, you know, and kind of apply all of these. So that can be really powerful for making sense of what could, you know, become a pretty long board. Especially if you're working between different projects, you know, you may want to come in and sort and say, show me what has the least time estimate, right? So if this one's only going to take an hour and it's an hour before I need to clock out, potentially I could knock this one out before I leave for the day. And then the last thing I'm going to show you really quickly is just how to create new task boards and new tasks. So if we're here, we can hit our little ellipsis button, create a task board, and name it. Let's name this administration. Then I can go in and create lists, you know, new matter creation. And then from here, if I got to switch back to my Kanban layout. If I come and I hit this little ellipsis, it gives me list actions where I could add new tasks, or I could add a task down here at the bottom and click, you know, and say, I need to draft an engagement letter and get a conflict check. And then it creates those for me and I can open them up and make my selections. Alrighty, folks, we're hitting the end here. So I'm gonna go ahead and pass it back off to Chris to allow for just a couple questions.
All right, great. Thank you, Katie. We'll go ahead and open it up to questions now. Just a reminder to be sure to type your questions into the question box in your control panel, or feel free to unmute yourself at this time and ask questions.
While people are working on doing that, I want to mention quick, there is the ability administratively to template out task boards so that if you wanted a standard task board per project, per matter, however you're organizing things in NetDocuments for your workspaces, you can template out that task board so that any new workspace would get that task board automatically. So if you have a standard process you follow for certain functions, it would be an ideal opportunity for that kind of functionality. That is an administrative function, but that we won't dive into today, but just know that there is the ability.
And at this time, I'm not seeing any more. Actually, we just had one more question show up. The question is, are the tasks saved in NetDocs? So is anything in here considered discoverable?
So yes, it's all stored within NetDocuments. So theoretically, I guess it could be discoverable. Yes. Though usually most discovery is more focused on things such as actual documents or emails.
Hi, I have a question.
Sure.
So how do I go about setting up tasks in NetDocuments for all the users?
Excellent question. So tasks is part of the plan package from NetDocuments. If you don't already have that package, you'll want to reach out to your NetDocuments rep to add that to your contract. But if you do have that package, which includes a couple other components as well, in any case, it can either be enabled by in the workspace. Katie, do you want to click on the workspace name at the top there? And then choose customize. Oh, you don't have the rights in that workspace. You would choose customize workspace and you can enable it there. Otherwise, it can also be enabled in the workspace template administratively, but it does have to be something that you have added to your NetDocument subscription.
Okay, great. Thank you.
For sure.
And at this time, I'm not seeing any more questions in the chat. Just a reminder, you can unmute yourself and ask questions to Katie or Jeff. All right, Katie, it doesn't look like we have any more questions. Is there anything else that you want to cover before we wrap up?
No, not now.
Okay. Well, great. Well, thank you, everyone. We appreciate you being here. Should you want more personalized training sessions on any number of NetDocuments features, please feel free to reach out at us at training@element.com. That's training@ele-ment.com. And thank you again for joining us today. We'll see you next time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.